G'day YouTube, it's Duke29 back with you again, and I'm here with the Week 3 Team Builder for the UBC, the United Battle Championship. Now, we are currently 2-0, your Tampa Bay Frogadiers, and we are coming into this match against Jspecks, who is the coach of the New York Metagross. I'll check his team right there off the top of my head. It is Mew, Bishop, Celebi, Arcanine, Umbreon, Gyarados, he has a Golurk, he has Mega Altaria, Gallade, there's one that I've forgotten, I apologize, Heliolisk, yeah, and Amaldo, ooh, unfortunate, sorry bros, didn't mean to leave you guys out, but anyway, going into this thing, and I feel pretty good about the team. Like, it's chopped and changed a little bit, but I really like how this team matches up against him. I think it actually has a really nice matchup, and I think that we should do pretty well. I think we actually have a really good chance of winning this one too. But you know what? I'm going to let my team do the talking. Well, I'm going to talk about the team that I've made, because what people have told me is I'm a very good team builder. I might not be the best battler in this league, but I like to think that when it comes to team building, I'm pretty darn good. It's the one thing that I try and pride myself on. So, this team this week, I decided to go with some pretty crazy sets, but I think they're going to work. Like, against Jspecks' team, he has a very offensive team, as you saw. His main wall is Umbreon, and aside from that, he doesn't really have too much else. So, I've gone with a few walls and defensive options that can also attack offensively, and then packed in two bug-type beasts at the back. And this will be the debut of Raikage, my Accelgor. I really wanted to debut Joffrey the Nidoking this week as well, but unfortunately, it was the 7th out of 6 Pokemon. I felt that Sizzle would be more important in this matchup, and I felt that Nidoking was just a little bit too slow against Jspecks' team, but I'm sure we will see Nidoking come back in another battle. Anyway, onto this one. We're going to begin things off with Dank Shrooms, the Amoonguss. The primary job of this Amoonguss is to wall Mega Altaria. We are running the Assault Vest so we can deal with specially offensive Mega Altaria, and we have max defense with Clear Smog to deal with the physically offensive variant. So we can take both on very nicely. We're running Giga Drain because that's just a really nice, good stab move. Allows us to hit up a lot of his team. And we're chucking on the Hidden Power Fighting, as that will allow us to get a bit of damage off on Umbreon, although we'd rather just Sludge Bomb Poison anyway. But it's basically to allow us to get some damage off on Bishop. Bishop can come in quite easily against the majority of this set, and so this allows us to get a bit of damage off if, you know, the time calls for us to hit it up with an attacking move. This is like a last resort kind of option, but I didn't really have anything else I wanted to put on Amoonguss, and I feel like it's going to be solid. But the main job of this Amoonguss for the battle, it switches in on two things. It is a Heliolisk check and a Mega Altaria check. I actually don't expect him to bring Heliolisk, but on the off chance that he does, this is our answer to it, and it should do fine. Honestly, I don't really see any issues with it. It should be able to take on both of those threats very, very easily. Moving on, if my computer will let me, it is being a little bit slow. There we go. We got Spearow the Emboar. Third set in a week where I've gone really kind of different, I guess, from what you'd expect. After the special attacking Emboar last week, I have gone with physically defensive Emboar this week, and this is my main answer to Bishop. Bishop is a little bit scary for my team. The main threat to Bishop is the fact that it has a lot of really good moves. The main one that scares me is the fact that it gets a move called Psycho Cut, which would, if he's Adamant Life Orb, one-shot my Emboar, one-shot Dank Shrooms, and so I'd be in a bit of trouble, but it's very unlikely he's going to run Adamant Life Orb and that move. I'll kind of explain that later on in the video, but basically this Emboar comes in on most Bishops and checks it very nicely. Head Smash is there because the two easy switch-ins to Emboar on his team originally, from looking at it, were Gyarados and Arcanine. They were the best two Flare Blitz switch-ins he had, both of which get absolutely decimated by Head Smash. Same goes for Altaria pre-Mega Evolution. And if it does Mega Evolve, I can fire off the Heavy Slam, which will absolutely massacre it. So that's awesome. And Flare Blitz is there just because it's the main stab that I wanted. I didn't want Superpower because there were too many easy switch-ins to Superpower. And I decided to chuck on Willow as a last move. It was either Willow or Rest for me, and I feel that Willow is more important because it allows me to burn Mew or Umbreon that might want to come in or anything like that. and they can't synchronize it back to me. So I felt that was a good last move. But basically, this is dealing with Bishop first and foremost. That's its basic job. It can also wall Maldo and to an extent Gallade, depending on its moveset. But this is the main Gallade set, main Gallade check, and the main Gyarados check, which is John Cena, the Unaware Clefable. I initially had Electros, but I realized that by running Unaware Clef, I can easily deal with Gallade and Gyarados. Even if Gyarados has the Iron Tail, it isn't really doing that much to me. I can take it on pretty well, and if it does have the Iron Tail, I have my own Gyarados that I can bring out to check it, and I also have an Emboar to take the Iron Tails as well. So I am very much prepared for any kind of Gyarados that he brings out. Moonblast and Flamethrower, although it seems standard, is probably the best I could do. I was initially running Moonblast and Thunderbolt, but Flamethrower actually allows me to definitely pick up that kill on Bishop. If I get to +1, Bishop's Adamant Life Orb Iron Head does a maximum of about 98%. So from full health, I can actually live any hit from any Bishop, which is insane, and I can fire off a Flamethrower, and if I can get rid of Bishop, that's kind of huge for my team. But I don't really want Clef taking too much damage, so I want to make sure rocks are not there. I didn't bring a Defogger, because I didn't feel like it was necessary. I don't think he's going to be setting up rocks anytime soon. But I should be able to effectively almost win the game with Clef. If he doesn't bring Bishop, this thing is a very serious threat for him, and can deal with a lot of his attackers. Moving on, we come to a primary special wall this week, which is Cocktail, the Mega Gyarados. It might not look like a special wall with a set that I've given it, but this basically allows it to deal with Mew and Celebi quite nicely. By Mega Evolving and being able to fire off those crunches, I can easily crush Mew and Celebi quite easily. It's not a big deal. Celebi's Giga Drain doesn't do like anything to me. You might think it runs into problems with Umbreon, but I can just rest off any damage that it does to me, and over time I can get defense drops and whatnot and try and just bring it down that way, so I'm not really too worried about that matchup. You might think also Mega Altaria is an issue, but you have to remember that I have a very easy Mega Altaria counter in the back in Dank Shrooms, so I'm not really worried about that matchup either. This thing will take hits for days, it'll deal with Mew, it'll deal with Celebi quite easily, and just put in the work. Honestly, it sets up quite easily. It's basically the exact same set, but I gave it a little bit more special bulk this time to just take those hits a little bit better. But basically, it is my switch into Mew almost 100% of the time. It's also, it seems weird that it's my switch into Celebi, but then again, so are these two last guys. You just got to play them smart. But he is definitely my main special attacking check. Then again, he doesn't have too many special attackers, but it's also a backup Bishop check, and that's why it's Moxie, not Intimidate, because nobody wants that Defiant boost. Anyway, we then move on to Raikage. This set is awesome. I'm really digging this set. So I realized that it was either Nidoking or this thing that was going to rip through his team. The thing with this, the plus side of this guy is that he has the speed to back up what he wants to do. Bug Buzz is terrifying for my opponent's team. His 3 big walls in Celebi, Mew, and Umbreon are all weak to Bug Buzz, and it can rip through his team. Sludge Bomb is there because that takes out Mega Altaria, which is awesome. Energy Ball is there because that takes out Golurk in case it wants to try and stop me, and Hidden Power Electric is there to crush that Gyarados. This thing probably won't be my lead, but it's definitely going to be a good switch in against those big Psychic types that I know he'll probably end up bringing. It also comes in really nicely against the majority of my opponent's team. I could be running Timid, for the fact that I think if he ran Adamant Dragon Dance Gyarados, I could actually then outspeed him with Hidden Power Electric. But honestly, I do have an easy check to Gyarados in Clefable, so I'm not really too worried about that matchup. And I think honestly Accelgor can rip through my opponent's team. He'll think I'm running spikes and stuff. Bug Buzz is actually a 2-hit KO on Armaldo, which is pretty sick too. To finish off the team, we got Scarlet, the Choice Scarf Sizzle. I think Scarlet's going to be the real MVP this week. I might just speed creep in a second. I'm trying to use my brain. Yeah, I can speed creep a little bit. I can drop Scarlet down to, I believe, 2... I'm trying to do maths in my head. 220. And then I can chuck in 40 HP. And by doing that, it allows Scarlet to outspeed Mew and Celebi at max speed. And then I can fire off an Adamant U-turn, which is like ridiculously good at this point. I'm running Iron Head and Bullet Punch. Iron Head because that'll allow me to do better damage to Altaria if it hasn't Dragon Dance. And Bullet Punch is just backup option in case I need to try and sweep by spamming Priority. Knockoff is just there because it's just a really good move, just in general, to hit up things, especially Arcanine. But the main move I'm going to be using is U-turn. It'll catch the Celebi, the Mew, the Umbreon, lots of things on his team. Gives me a ton of momentum, for example, hitting up that Arcanine so I can go into Gyarados and get a free Mega off, which is pretty sweet. I can also go straight into Emboar with that. So this thing is very, very important. I would say it is pretty darn close to being my win con, essentially because a lot of his team cannot really deal with it. By having that 40 HP as well, he can handle a Bisharp Sucker Punch if it does not Swords Dance. So that's going to be pretty important because Adamant U-turn is going to do a ton. You'd think, why not Superpower? I just don't like Superpower in this situation because I don't want to give any of his other mons a free chance to set up or take advantage of it. I'd rather just be able to U-turn out, get the damage I need, then go out to like Emboar to be able to take the knockoff. And if he Sucker Punches, then he Sucker Punches. It's not a big deal. So, basically answering the question that I was talking about earlier, which was about Bisharp. The reason why I think Bisharp is not going to run Psycho Cut is because Bisharp's going to suffer from 4 move slot syndrome. It's an issue that a lot of Pokemon have, and the main thing about it is that he can't run enough moves to have what we call ideal coverage. So, basically what I'm saying is that Bisharp is probably going to want to have Knockoff. Knockoff is fantastic because it is a good general move. It's his best way of killing stuff like Slowbro and whatnot, so he's going to need that. He needs Iron Head because it's his best way to kill Clefable and Kyurem, so he definitely needs to bring that. He could bring Sucker Punch, which would be really good because that lets him... sorry, someone just messaged me. I will deal with that afterwards. He could run Sucker Punch because that allows him to kill stuff like Nidoking and any other thing that outspeeds him. Especially since I have an Accelgor now, it wouldn't be like the... This guy, like, she's messaged me, I just can't do it right now. I think it's his best play to have Sucker Punch, and then his last move has to be Swords Dance or Psycho Cut. And if he doesn't have the Swords Dance, then it's not a problem. Emboar can deal with this all day, every day. And if he does have the Swords Dance, I think he doesn't have enough room for Psycho Cut. And if he runs Knockoff, Iron Head, and Sucker Punch, then not only does he get walled by Emboar, and if he removes Sucker Punch and puts on Psycho Cut, then he's just going to lose to Mega Gyarados anyway. So what I'm saying is that with 4 move slot syndrome, there's no real way that he's going to be able to cover all my threats. Because if you think about it, if he's not running Iron Head, and he has Knockoff, Psycho Cut, and Low Kick, he's just losing to my Clefable every day of the week. So I think because of that, he probably won't bring Psycho Cut. We should be able to deal with him fine, and we should be okay. Because if he doesn't bring Knockoff, and he brings Low Kick, Iron Head, Psycho Cut, that's just easy for Sizzle, really. And it's also easy for Accelgor. So, like I'm saying, it's not really... I can cover basically everything that Bisharp brings. There is no Bisharp set this team can't handle, which is great. We have Mega Altaria covered. The scary Pokemon is Mew, and it's very hard to deal with Mew, guys. Mew is a very, very terrifying Pokemon in this format because you don't know what kind of move it's going to run. It could be very unpredictable, and I didn't really have a certain wall that I felt could deal with it. I guess I'm using Gyarados. I guess the premise as well of my team right now is that I want to try and give myself an opportunity where I wouldn't let Mew just set up and be a nuisance. Like Sizzle can come in on the Psychic that he might go for Emboar with, and then they can fire off a U-turn, get off huge damage, or fire off a Scarf Knockoff, which is going to do huge damage as well. And potentially being able to knock off a seriously good item is great. Could allow Gyarados later on to sweep, but I think my big way of winning is Gyarados late game, if I can weaken the only Gyarados checks that he has. Accelgor can just punch through his team. If he has nothing scarfed, Accelgor can seriously punch through his team. Sizzle as well can clean up very nicely late game. And actually Clefable can quite simply set up on a lot of his team. As you'll see there, he doesn't really have too much other than Bisharp and maybe Mega Altaria that can break through Clefable itself, unless he does have setup with Mew. But remember that since I'm Calm Minding and I won't be factoring in his boosts, like a Sludge Wave might do a ton of damage initially, but if I got a Calm Mind up, it's not going to be doing as much. So then he's just factoring in, hoping for the poison because I'm unaware, and that's something I've got to be really careful of, is status that he might do. So I've got to be very careful around Umbreon, which is why I have the Gyarados on deck, and I have the Amoonguss on deck, prepared for that. So Clefable can come in at the perfect time to do its sweep, and any other time other than that, it is there to check Gyarados and Gallade. And it's actually pretty good at checking Gyarados, because if I get paralyzed by a potential bounce, that's actually a good thing, because that allows me to definitely sweep my opponent's team. But that is basically going to do it, guys. I feel very good about this team. Honestly, I feel building wise it was tricky at first, but once I knew exactly how I felt that I could win and like the threats that I could handle, it felt very good, and I feel like I've handled every single threat. But if you feel maybe I haven't handled every single threat, tell me in the comments. Like, I'm more than happy to hear your opinion. Also, make sure that you smash out that like button. That'd be really nice. I'd really appreciate that. And if you are new here, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate your support on this channel. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for me. I will see you guys next time when I'll be doing the battle. I feel pretty good about our chances, honestly. I think he has a very, very good threatening team, but I feel like our team is built strong and will be able to deliver the goods, and hopefully we can be 3-0 to start the season. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. It's Video29, signing out.